Good evening. Good evening. I want to welcome all of you to Therapy Thursday. Good evening, ladies. How are each of you doing tonight?
Great, great.
Bless.
Yes.
That is awesome. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. We're going to let some folks pile in the room here. I know you probably watch a lot of lives now, and everyone says, "Come on in, come on in." If you've seen Tabitha Brown, I love Tabitha Brown. She's like, "Come on in, baby, come on in." Welcome to Therapy Thursdays. This is normally the Ask Schellie segment of Therapy Thursday. So, Schellie, thank you for being so gracious and allowing us to come in on your segment.
It was a privilege, of course.
Talk a little bit about Therapy Thursdays and Ask Schellie as we have folks coming on board here. Tell us a little bit about what it is that they get to see on Thursday nights.
Awesome. So again, my name is Schellie. I'm a licensed psychotherapist here in Orlando, Florida, and I've been practicing for over 24 years now. And one of the things that I say all the time is that as a licensed psychotherapist, the last thing you want to tell a massage therapist or somebody that's sitting next to you on an airplane is that you're a licensed psychotherapist, because they have a million and one questions to ask. First they ask, "Can you tell me what I'm thinking?" It's like, okay, a psychotherapist and a psychic are two different things. But one of the things that I enjoy doing is taking questions that are asked of me to bring emotional intelligence to them. And the thing that I really love about this is that most people write about the things that are most relevant to them: relationships, sex, and marriages, and other things. And I think that in highlighting these questions, it gives people an opportunity to really see the other side of things, the emotional intelligence side of things, and people get to see and hear how they have normalized their own abnormalities. It's an amazing platform in a time where we can use the sharing of other people's questions to highlight and to give people wellness tools that they can add to their wellness toolbox. And that's what Ask Schellie on Therapy Thursdays is about. I get to highlight questions that are asked of me about children, raising kids, parenting, relationships. I can't get this man to commit. I can't get this woman to leave me alone, whatever it is. And then it gives me an opportunity to really provide psychoeducation to help provide feedback to whoever writes in. It's so amazing because everyone who listens has an opportunity to also provide their feedback. And that's what Therapy Thursdays is about. It's about empowering our people through the provision of psychoeducation. And that's what I do.
So amazing. You got all that in that short amount of time. I love it. We want to honor and welcome our special guest tonight, State Attorney for Cook County, Illinois, State Attorney Kim Foxx. Can we clap it up for Kim? Here. So we know that you're saving your voice, and she's been, just out there on the front lines and also on the campaign trail. So, Kim, you want to, for those who may be in the Southeast region, tell us a little bit about you and your platform.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me. And again, forgive the voice. I'm just so glad that I have enough to be able to share. Because I got questions for Schellie too. The state's attorney is similar to what you have down in the Southeast as the state attorney. So I'm the chief prosecutor for Cook County, which encompasses Chicago and our surrounding suburbs. And that means that I'm responsible for our criminal justice system of over 5.4 million people here in the Cook County area. We're the second largest prosecutor's office in the country. And I ran for this office having grown up in the city of Chicago and one of our toughest public housing projects, Cabrini Green, and really seeing myself not so much as being a lawyer, but seeing myself reflected in the people who are actually those who use the justice system. Myself as a sexual assault survivor, but also having watched my mother be a victim of domestic violence, and then seeing people in my family who had gone to prison for their own crimes, but also knowing that they were really good, complicated people who had done bad things. And so I ran for this office and trying to take a holistic view of looking at our criminal justice system so that we can enact policies that keep our community safe, but also recognize the humanity and the redemptive qualities that everyone has, so that when people come back into our communities, we are stronger for it. And that we have people who are impacted in positions of leadership to be able to give that lived experience breadth. And so we've done everything from work on marijuana legalization here in Illinois to vacating the records of those who were previously convicted for amounts that are now legal, to working on vacating wrongful convictions of those who went to prison for crimes they didn't commit, to really being thoughtful around diversion and mental health, because we see so many people who come through our justice system who have some form of trauma, some form of unmet mental health needs. And it manifests itself in different ways, like substance use disorder. We see a lot of dual diagnosed folks. And so bringing my experiences to bear and saying, how do we look at the whole person in our systems so that our response is most appropriate?
Ooh, I like that. How do we look at the whole person? That's not language you normally would hear in the legal world or criminal justice system, looking at the whole person. But we'll get into a little bit more of that tonight. So again, Kim, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a special conversation. So a few rules or instructions for those of you watching. If you'd like to comment tonight, we want you to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Again, that's StreamYard.com/Facebook, and you should be able to see your comments here live on camera. But what we really want you to do is hit the share button. So we have a few moments that we're going to take right now. This is I Am Beautiful 365. We're going to talk to one of the founders in just a second here. But if you could, please hit the share button. And also you can take a look at the link on the screen. That is how you can comment. We want to know where you all are tuning in from. So if you can, let us know. Shout out your city. Let us know if you are in Chi-Town. If you're in Chicago, let us know as well. And again, share. If you haven't visited our I Am Beautiful 365 page, we want you to go and check out the Facebook page and Instagram. We're going to come back in just a second here and talk to Candace Edwards. Candace, thank you so much for being here tonight. And I want to just play this brief promo, and then we'll come right back. Hopefully you had a second to go share. We want you to leave your comments and put your questions on the screen. We want to try to answer as many questions as we can. The time is going to fly by tonight. The topic of discussion tonight is the mental health crisis in the Black and Brown communities. And we have Candace to thank for this amazing platform, over 400,000 followers who they are loyal. They love the posts, all kinds of random posts, but most of all, the posts are bringing positivity to a much needed world right now. Good evening, Candace.
Hello.
So tell us a little bit about this amazing platform, I Am Beautiful 365.
As I'm sitting here listening to Schellie and Kim speak, I'm like, this is kind of what I manifested or envisioned. It's like, there are so many different stereotypes out there about us as a people. And so to have a African-American, Black, however you prefer to be referred to, a lawyer and therapist on here is just amazing. Because essentially people, the way that we are stereotyped, like people don't feel like, well, are there Black lawyers out there? Are there Black therapists? Are there Black doctors? And so that's extremely exciting to me, because we have been pigeonholed into thinking certain things about ourselves even. So this is really exciting for me to be here. Like, I feel like I should be viewing instead of here speaking. But I created the platform for that reason, so we could celebrate each other and celebrate the positivity amongst us.
You are truly one of the most humble women I know. She's like, I don't want to be on camera. Don't put me on camera. But I think that humility shines through, and it's evident in the platform growing so quickly. We're going to say, ladies, if you don't mind, we're going to say good evening to some folks that are tuning in, and then we're going to jump into the discussion here. We have Liam from the UK. Can we clap it up for the UK? That is really impressive. Liam, thank you for tuning in. I'm not sure, seems like it's pretty late over there. Pretty late. Warren, you are in Chicago. He said, love Kim Foxx. Oh, that's so awesome. Is that SIUC alums.
That's right, Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. That's right. Hey, Warren.
Dominique is tuning in from Chicago. And is this Chills, Illinois? Is this Shy?
This is Country Club Hills.
Yeah, it's the South
Side. What's going on, Miss Waller?
That is awesome. You know, I'm in Orlando, Florida, so I don't have all the Chicago lingo.
I'm feeling good, though. It feels good to see so many hometown folks.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people from Chicago.
This is awesome. Latina is down here in Florida, here in Tampa. She also has an organization that focuses on mental health awareness. Latina, good evening. Thank you for tuning in. And her organization is called She Speaks. So Latina, if you could put your information in the comments, let people know where to reach out, because you have some amazing resources. And thank you for doing She Speaks. And Candace. Another Candace. That's Candy, Candace. All the Candies are here tonight in Chicago. You have a hello here, Candace.
What is going on? That is one of my coworkers. I didn't expect people I knew to tune in.
We're all tuning in just to talk to you. All right. So, it's good that we can laugh and kind of, breathe a little bit, because 2020 has been... there's really no words. I will say that when we're thinking about the election time, a lot of the focus has been on the presidential election, the presidential everything. But it is so critical. We can't stress this enough for you guys. Please hit share. If you just are tuning in, thank you for tuning in, but hit share, because we're going to jump into our discussion. It's so critical to focus on the local government. And so, Kim, we'd like to kick this off with you about the importance of voting for our state attorneys. Talk a little bit about your platform you are running, and how can we support you?
Yeah, the local elections, I think people, to your point, underestimate the power that local elected officials have. I mean, across the board, whether it is what books you read in the classroom or class sizes, your school board makes those determinations directly impacting you. Your mayors decide how much money goes to police budgets versus housing budgets, your city council. And so I think it has been a really difficult 4 years looking at the federal level, but really these local elections matter, and particularly related to criminal justice. As we deal with this summer where we've seen a reckoning around race and policing and justice, it's your local prosecutors who are directly impacting decisions that are being made. Who gets charged? What are they charged with? When we're talking about mental health, we have a crisis in this country of not enough treatment in communities, community-based treatment. And so where is the place that we deal with our mental health crisis? Our jails, our prisons. And so these elections are critically important. And as I said, I've run on a platform of let's make sure we're using the criminal justice system for what it was designed for, which was based on community safety, or should have been designed for, and not all of these other things that deal with things that we know we're not equipped to handle. The criminal justice system is not the place to deal with substance use disorder. People who, if you know anybody, and I know many people personally in my family and friends who have suffered from substance use disorder, who've been addicted, what they need is treatment. And if you've ever known anybody who has battled an addiction, they do things knowing what the consequences are. They know it's gonna not end well for them. And so throwing them in prison, people, well, that'll be their rock bottom. These people will give conviction after conviction after conviction. And then what happens is they can't get a job. When they finally get it together, you now have a record. You might not be able to get a house or housing or scholarships or education. And all of those things then lead you to feel like, well, what can I do? Maybe I do have to go, break into this house, or maybe I should steal, or maybe I should sell drugs because the regular economy is not for me. And so these elections matter. Having people in these roles who say, wait a minute, we have to look at addiction differently. This is not a criminal justice issue. This is a public health issue. And I'm not going to be complicit in using this system to criminalize behaviors which should better be dealt with in a public health or mental health setting. And so that's the platform that I've run on and tried to push here. but it is why these elections matter, because you have for a very long time, why we have mass incarceration is because we've had people who have not cared about these issues in that way. Just saying, let's lock everybody up under this false notion of safety. So these elections matter significantly. And I think a lot of people count on us sitting them out. A lot of people count on the status quo. Last thing I'll say about this, we talk about Orlando. Aramis Ayala is a good friend of mine, who was the first Black person, African American, however you want to identify, state attorney in the history of the state of Florida.
Yeah.
The first. And you think about how many people are impacted by the justice system. I am the first Black woman here in Illinois, first Black woman in Cook County. There are very few of us doing this work. And so that is not because we aren't talented or thoughtful or care about these issues, but because we need that groundswell of support from our communities. So these elections absolutely matter. And I know you all have a new state attorney coming in, and Monique Worrell, who ran on a similar platform. That's why these elections matter, whether it's in Chicago or Orlando or Boston with Rachel Rollins or Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore. These elections matter.
They absolutely matter. And Kim, as we have people jumping in and tuning in, tell us a little bit about, how do people get involved to make change happen? So when is election day there in your county, your area? What information do people need to know to take action?
So first you can go to my website, which is kimfoxx.com. I have 2 X's in my name, like Jamie Foxx, like Red Fox, if you were a little old school. And you could go to our website. Election day is November 3rd, just like the national election. So when people get their ballots, the president is at the top. Keep going down. Go down the ballot. If you live in a jurisdiction, not just like your elected prosecutor, we have judges on the ballot. People are making determinations about how long people go to prison. And so that's one of the biggest ways is to show up on election day, show up before election day. They're early voting in your state, do early voting. If you got mail-in voting, take that sucker to the mail early. Don't wait till the day before and vote. And the other part is really, if there's an issue you care about, I'm really excited about doing this panel tonight. So many young women who come into our justice system are trauma survivors. We talk about the difference between me and being a defendant as someone who is a survivor, is that I had access to resources. 70% of the women who come into the criminal justice system have themselves been a victim of either sexual abuse or physical abuse. 70%. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, what have we done to aid in their healing, such that their responses in other areas? So mental health is critically important. So whether you care about child protection issues, whether you care about, girls in detention, all of these issues matter. So vote, come, interrogate, ask questions, probe people who are running for office about their stances on these issues, because they'll tell you it's just about law and order. It is far more complicated than that. Look at the Black women around you and know their complexities, and then imagine yourself as these young women who come into our justice system, and think of the things that kept you on this side, and how do we invest in those young women so that they have the same opportunities.
Absolutely. Timely. Thank you for sharing that information. We'll be sure to put your website up again, but it's very easy. It's kimfoxx with 2 X's.com, and they can find all the information to vote, where to vote, what the dates are, and everything, right?
That's right. Awesome. How to volunteer. If you want to make calls for people, we'll gladly take all the volunteers between now and then. If you want to donate money, we'll take your checks too. So go to kimfoxx.com. You can help in any way that you can give.
You can't do what you do. You can't campaign without funds. So it's really important that we support these candidates that are actually really supporting our community. And one last thing before we ask Schellie some questions. You started a task force in 2019 out of your office, and tell us a little bit about the task force, the goal of it.
Yeah, we started a mental health task force to address the thing that I'm talking about. We have so many people who are in our jails who have mental health issues that have been unmet. And so what I know is, as a prosecutor, I'm a lawyer. That's not my area of expertise. You know what we should do? We should bring in the experts. And so we've brought together mental health specialists, psychologists, psychiatrists, practitioners on the ground, people in public health, people in private health, the insurance industry, coming together and saying, if the state's attorneys stop prosecuting people because they have mental health issues, who's going to take it up? Who's going to do this work? And bringing those people together and then saying, how do I use my bully pulpit to advocate for dollars and resources for mental health services in community? And we also bring together people who have been impacted by the system. You know, we had a man who had been arrested 192 times, 192 times, had a 40-year history with substance use disorder, addiction. And having him at the table, talking to prosecutors and lawyers and these advocates and saying, you know what helped me was treatment, but I wasn't ready for treatment on the second time. We always talk about second chance. Some people need like 14 chances, 15 chances. And what that meant, what did that for him? And so our task force is designed to shrink the footprint of the criminal justice system in these areas and expand that footprint in community-based providers to be able to give people the resources so that we aren't catching them in the justice system when it's too late.
So needed what you're doing. Thank you again for creating the task force and for being a leader in this area that is so needed. And you talked a little bit about having specialists. And so we're going to turn some of this time over to Schellie. And I know that some of these questions are on everyone's mind is, you know, why is there such a disparity? What is going on in the Black and Brown communities that we just don't have the resources, we don't have access to them? What are some of your thoughts behind the disparity?
Well, first we have to remember that our system, the systems that we function within, kind of create those disparities. And so one problematic system impacts another problematic system, impacts another problematic system. For example, when you talk about access, you need money to access great mental health, period. And so a lot of the individuals in the Black and Brown communities are not able to pay $175 an hour and over and above that to get someone who is qualified to help them. And so they are limited to their options, or the individuals who are on their panels, on their insurance panels, or on their, public health panels, what have you, that do not have the capacity to meet their needs, whether it's they lack the diversity that's needed to truly address the unique needs of our population, or those who just don't care enough to. And so just to give you an example of what the fruit of that is, or what the impact of that is that there are many, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. So Black and Brown individuals are highly misdiagnosed compared to any other population. And so you have, for example, Black women who are being treated for anger management issues when truly the issue is depression that's rooted in unresolved trauma or attachment injury. We have young Black boys that are being diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or oppositional defiant disorder, making it seem or being painted as having some type of behavioral issue where the root of their issues is attachment injury, unresolved trauma, and they're being prescribed medication to address attention deficits that are all rooted in the hypervigilance that comes with being traumatized. And so it starts there with we need to address the systems that keep our people oppressed, and we have to make sure that within the systems that our individuals, our people do have access to, that we have providers that are qualified enough to meet the unique needs of our population. It's almost like we do not get our eyes checked at the dentist. And so we have individuals going to practitioners who do not specialize in the areas that they need unique help in. And so it's so much, but the percentage of individuals that are misdiagnosed in the mental health system is alarming. And like Kim Foxx was saying, before I went into private practice, I worked in public health. And so my main task that I had as a director of a program that was specifically for people who were diagnosed with severe and persistent mental illness. And so in doing that, we worked with people that committed very severe crimes when they were not mentally well, when they were in a decompensatory state. And so whether it was they didn't have access to their medication because Medicaid wouldn't pay for it, or the generic was not as effective as what they were getting while they were in inpatient stabilization, whatever the reason was, these individuals committed severe crimes. I had a parent, she was decompensating, and she shot her daughter and her daughter's best friend. I had individuals who committed sex offenses when they were decompensating, or individuals who had addiction issues but could not get the help that they needed because they had a co-occurring mental health diagnosis. And a lot of rehabilitation centers, especially at that time, I'm talking now in the early 2000s, where if you had a co-occurring mental health diagnosis, you were not eligible to get traditional substance abuse rehabilitation. So where do these people go? Where do they end up? They end up in jail. There have been times where we had to advocate for our clients by going into these jail centers and say, going into a prison is not the answer. This person needs long-term hospitalization. This person needs rehabilitation. And time again, it's almost like pressing the replay button. Individuals will remind us advocates that this is not about rehabilitation. This is about punishment for individuals who have committed serious crimes. And I'm thinking to myself, is it really about punishment, or is it making sure that we are increasing the safety of the people within our communities? And if we are really trying to increase the safety of the individuals that live in our communities, we have to start looking at how we can better rehabilitate these individuals so the rate of recidivism can come down. And so mental health is so important. The disparities have to be addressed, and we have to make sure that there's equal access to specialized mental health treatment that will really address the unique needs of our people.
So we're all sitting here, and I'm looking at some of my questions here, and I want all of you, if you're watching, thank you for tuning in tonight. This is Therapy Thursday. We're talking about the mental health crisis in Black and Brown communities. Please not only hit share, but we want your comments and your questions. So I know a lot of us are sitting here, like myself and maybe even Candace, that are saying, well, what do we do? You know, we want to vote, right? That's something we already addressed earlier. But what can each person do? We talked about the mental health situation in the criminal justice system, but what about in our communities just as a whole, people outside of that system? What do we do to help our neighbor? What do we do to help the person that lives in our house when we have these disparities?
That's a really good question. I want to address something that dovetails right into this. I had an individual on one of my Ask Schellie shows, and we were talking about how to channel anger in an effective way, because many of us are just experiencing overwhelming anger with the injustices that we are all observing, right? And these injustices and the things that we are seeing, we are inundated with images of injustice that are causing racial trauma. And so I brought her on the show, and she too was the first of many. She was the first Black woman to be councilwoman in the town of Brookhaven, which is in Long Island, and she's now running for Supreme Court Justice. And one of the things that she said is, make sure that you actually understand what the different local positions are. Those local representatives, stop going in and Christmas treeing your ballot, but to really, really make sure that you understand who the people are, the positions that they're running for, what the actual positions do, what they're responsible for. We have to start there and educating ourselves. And one of the things that she said, and I'm telling you, there was so many people that responded to this, was stop trying to dodge or duck the responsibility that we have to sit on the jury duty. And that just seems like we're all like just accustomed to using every type of excuse. I have the flu, I'm depressed or whatever, to get out of jury duty. And then we get very upset when things don't turn out the way that we wanted for very serious issues that are being brought before a jury. And so it does start there. When it comes to mental health and what we should do, first of all, we have to make sure that we're taking self-inventory, because our people, because of the resilience or perceived resilience that we have, we tend to normalize abnormalities. I talk about it all the time. Your inability to sleep, 8 hours of interrupted sleep is an issue. Your inability to commit is an issue. The fact that you constantly see the glass half empty is an issue. Your inability to maintain focus and concentration is an issue. Your ability to not see your true value or your true worth is an issue. We have to stop normalizing abnormalities.
Wow.
And so when we get to that point where we start to realize the issues that we have and address them, we can only allow ourselves to be better version of ourselves, and then we could be more powerful in what we're trying to overcome here. And it's also important that when we see it in other people, that we are very direct about what we see. We don't want to label people. We don't want to misdiagnose people, especially if you're not an expert in the field, but it is okay for you to say what you see. Say what you see. Tell your neighbor, I noticed that you don't garden anymore. I noticed that, you don't come outside anymore. There's no visitors coming to your home. Say what you see. Don't call it anything. Don't put a label on it. Say what you see and offer resources. It's very important. We have to stop just kind of going with the flow and act like we don't see things. I was so this just happened just the other day, the day before yesterday. I was in New Orleans. This gentleman was obviously having a reaction to what I believe was an overdose on drugs. This man bought the drugs right in front of my son and I. And about 5 to 10 minutes later, we saw him having a grand mal seizure right in the middle of the street on Bourbon Street. And when I tell you how many people just kind of walked by like it was normal, like this man is dying in the middle of the streets. We have to start caring again. We have to start, making sure that we are educating ourselves and doing what we can to be a part of the solution. I was so troubled by the amount of people that just walked by like there was nothing happening. We've learned, like, if it don't got to do with me,
that's right,
I'm good, right? If it doesn't have anything to do with me, I'm good. No, we have to make sure that we open our eyes to what's right in front of us and take a pledge and a commitment to be a part of the solution.
We are now informed. Those of you who are watching and who will watch this on replay, always use the hashtag replay when you're commenting, because we want this broadcast to continue to be seen over and over again. This will remain on the I Am Beautiful 365 platform. And so I want to turn it over to Candace for some of your thoughts. And then I do want to ask Kim, as we come up on the end of our time here, we've talked about the disparities and the challenges, but I would like to hear a little bit about the positive stories that you've seen as a result of what you did last year, which is starting your task force. So I think that's where we'll end, Kim. I just wanted to get some of your thoughts, Candace, before we close out on the topic.
It's hard to follow up after Schellie. It's very difficult. But as everybody was speaking, I was thinking about a moment in time where I was going through a lot, and essentially one of my friends recommended therapy. And for me to hear therapy, I'm like, what? No. But it's just, I think it's because it's some type of stigma in our community that if you go see a therapist, it's something majorly wrong with you. And she recommended me, and I was looking for the website as you were speaking to, Therapy for Black Girls. And you can put your insurance information in and everything, and it'll find a Black therapist, a Black female therapist that you can speak to about your issues. Because that was another thing that I thought would be an issue for me too, is like, I'm gonna sit and talk to a white man about me and how I'm feeling. Like, what is he gonna help me with? So that resource I think was really great, and I'll share it later. But I literally could see who would accept my insurance and what my copay would be and all of those things. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I do see a lot more of my female friends on Facebook openly speaking about how they see a therapist, how they feel better about speaking about things that, we think are normal. How did you verbalize it, Schellie? Normalizing our abnormalities. Like, just our reaction to certain things, just really, really being able to get things off their chest and realize I did have an issue and I did need to speak to somebody about it. So I wanted to just share that. I thought that was really helpful.
That's excellent. I want to take, and thank you, Candace. It is hard to follow. I mean, State Attorney Kim Foxx, history maker, and then Schellie with knowledge. So I'm intimidated too, but this is a beautiful conversation, and we're going to end it with Kim here in just a second. So I want to get to a comment from Aaliyah. Yes, I agree with you. I'm the only one out of 6 kids that was born with epilepsy and seizures when I was a baby, and I still take medication for my epilepsies and seizures, and I'm 55 years old. Wow. Just ongoing care that's needed. Candace Allen says, I love this. We have to share more to break the stigma. Absolutely amazing. And so we want to hear a little bit about some of the success stories and some of the progress that you've seen coming out of your task force in your office. Kim, if you could help, and we'll wrap the conversation after that.
Yeah, I mean, look, the good news of this is that we have like said what we see, right? And what we see is a justice system that has been responding to a crisis that doesn't belong to them. And by saying that, we then empower the people who can do something about it to do something. And so one of the things that I'm incredibly proud of is that we have people with lived experiences who are doing the educating of those who are in the positions of power. And so having folks, like the man that I said who was arrested, 190 times, be able to sit at the table and help design policy platforms to deal with how we respond to substance use disorder. That is, to me, one of the biggest things that we can do is empower people with lived experiences to set the agenda, to tell us what works. And so I saw him at a signing, at a governor was signing a bill, legislation around funding for mental health. And he was there. This man who, when normally if he came to your house, you had in your bag, you had in your purse, because what's about to go down. Now in a position of taking that experience and then being able to guide a path for others. And so that's what I think is the success of all of this. And having, our young women who come in who have themselves been accused of really horrific crimes as well, be able to talk about, this is some of the response to the abuse that I suffered. And really being thoughtful. One of the things that we've been able to look at is how we charge survivors of domestic violence when they come in, and having committed an act of violence against someone who perpetrated it. Back in the day, it was just black and white. You commit a crime, you get a sentence. We didn't care what got you there. And so really having, again, a lot of women inform our policies and practices and talking normally. And, last thing I'll say on the broader picture, and I'm really glad that Candace talked about this, normalizing talking about therapy. I go to therapy every Monday. It is a standing appointment because it is incredibly difficult work that I do. We talk about in the work that we do in the office. There's a lot of vicarious trauma that you see people in law enforcement and prosecutors' office. We see some of the worst of the worst. We, as Schellie was talking about, the mother who killed her child or shot a child. We see that. And there's something that happens to the practitioner. We don't want ever to be numb to that. We don't ever want our people who do this work, whether you're in law enforcement, if you're a police officer on the front lines or a prosecutor in the courtroom, we do normalize the abnormality. There are people who do this work who are shaped by having seen things that most people will never see in their lifetimes. And then what happens when that happens over and over and over? We don't want to dull your senses to tragedy. We don't want to dull. It's the thing that we've been talking about all this summer when we watch George Floyd or talk about Breonna Taylor. It's almost a numbness that comes. We cannot numb ourselves to pain and chaos and injustice and then muddle our way through. So we have provided access in our office to our attorneys, to our victim witness staff, to our admins, who put the pictures in a file. They're looking at that too and going home to their families, carrying what they see. So normalizing talking about therapeutic interventions, not just for the people that we serve, but for ourselves, because we really cannot be as effective as we need to be unless we are viewed in our whole selves. yes, I'm the state's attorney, but I'm a mother of 4 teenage girls. Okay. And I'm married, and I have all of these things that I carry into the work. And so as a leader of my organization, saying we are that empathy that we have for those we serve, we must also be self-reflective. What am I carrying into this space? What is my unmet need? And am I taking that out on the work that I do? So those are some of the things I'm really proud of, is that we have really integrated a mental health model, not just in the work that we do outside the office, but in the office as well.
So well said. And I can't thank you enough, Kim. We know this campaign trail is exhausting. The work you do is tremendous and exhausting. So if you guys can give some hand clap emojis for our panelists tonight, for Kim Foxx, State Attorney for Cook County, Illinois, Schellie Fanfan, she's our therapist here on Therapy Thursdays, and the founder of I Am Beautiful 365, Candace. Thank you so much for being with us, ladies. And Kim, I have your website here. I want to make sure that we let everyone know to go there, and tell us again, lastly, before we close, what can they find there? Where to vote, when to vote?
Yeah, you'll find everything. You can find when to vote, which is November 3rd, same day as the presidential. You can find volunteer opportunities. You know, it's another thing when people feel angst in these moments, like I want to do more, I'm fired up. Volunteer for a campaign, make some phone calls, you know, shuttle people to and from the voting booth. You know, we have a lot of seniors who are like, I'm not mailing my ballot, I want to go. Help get them there, you know, deliver a mask. So there's volunteer opportunities that are there as well. And there's an opportunity to donate dollars. We in the Black community must fund our campaigns. You know, Black women are not funded in the same way that other candidates are. And we have to affirmatively take that over. So if it's $5 or $25, you can give and make a difference. And I really want to see more of us in the Black community invest in these races, invest in these candidates, because that's how you'll get more of us with lived experiences in these roles.
Again, State Attorney Kim Foxx, we can't thank you enough for being with us. We're going to let you go rest that voice. Rest that voice so you can continue to be a voice for us. Again, thank you so much for being with us. So we are going to stay on for just a few moments. And Kim, we hope to continue this conversation after you are reelected, right, ladies?
Oh, I'm coming. I'm asking for help from Miss Schellie. Just know that I got some. And I got some stuff. So I will be back. Thank you for having me on. But this is definitely not my last time at the platform. So thank you. And Candace, kudos and congratulations for creating a platform like this that allows for such rich, robust conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Take care of that voice. We'll see you on Election Day. We'll celebrate here from Florida, in Chi-Town, wherever we are. Thank you, Kim Foxx. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, ladies, that was such a powerful conversation. I don't even know, what to say after all of that, but I do want to share something. Of course, you saw me do it during the broadcast. I was clicking around on StreamYard, and I wanted to share something briefly that this is probably for another discussion, Candace and Schellie, but one of the ways that we can start to change our community is through education. Yes. And I have the privilege and the honor of being a part of this amazing organization, the Chicago Football Classic Scholarship Fund. And what I was doing was I was bringing up the background so that the logo is there behind us. So the Scholarship Fund has already given away $100,000. They had 20 students receive $5,000 each. The game was canceled, but they're continuing on with their fundraising efforts. And I believe it was in August that they awarded these deserving students this money to go to college. Well, the Chicago Football Classic is having a virtual HBCU week. Can we give it up for the HBCUs? I know that I've read articles, and the more kids that we can get to go to college, and there's this awesome T-shirt. If I get it, I'm going to show the graphic next time. But the graphic says HBCUs have produced blah 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 blah, and it says all the Black doctors, Black lawyers, and all the work that HBCUs have done. Well, the Chicago Football Classic is right in the heart of that for Chicago. And next week, October 20th through the 24th, we have a 5-day virtual HBCU week. And guess who's getting to produce and direct? I'm so excited.
All right.
I am so excited about it. And but I want to encourage everyone to go to chicagofootballclassic.org/HBCU week. I don't know if Warren, if you're there and you can type that in, but it's chicagofootballclassic.org, and we will have a great week. It's financial empowerment on Tuesday. Wednesday is student health services. Thursday is career fair. Friday is a DJ Hot Rod pep rally. And then Saturday, they have 25 HBCU representatives coming to talk about getting into the schools and campus life and everything that you would need to know about HBCU. What do you guys think about that? How tremendous.
That's amazing. I have 2 younger sisters that are getting ready to graduate high school, and they definitely need to be a part of it. So I will definitely have them tuning in to see those 25 schools. That's pretty dope.
Yep. And if you add the /HBCU week to that .org, you will come up to the registration page. You can register. They're giving away prizes, but you can't win those unless you register. So please do that. And we will be live on Facebook on the Chicago Football Classic Facebook page. That's where the whole week will be broadcast, with yours truly being the moderator. So I want to thank you, Candace, for being an educator, you and your husband, and Schellie for all you do. Any last words before we wrap?
No, well, I'm still kind of taken away by everything that Schellie and Kim Foxx shared. I think that I would love to revisit this topic again, because I think it's very necessary as far as mental health in the Black community. The different things that I witness on a daily basis, just driving down the street. I'm like, we have some serious mental health issues in our community, and they have to be addressed. So I would really love to revisit the topic again.
Just, remember what we said about, starting with yourself, making sure that you're taking self-inventory. We all have the responsibility to be the best version of ourselves. And the things that cause the injury that leads to many of the mental health issues that we experience, a lot of the times was not our fault. That learned behavior, that whatever caused that injury, but we do have the responsibility to overcome. And so take personal responsibility in your own mental health and do the same for the people that you love and care for.
Absolutely. Well, we are signing off tonight. We want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you, Candace Edwards, Schellie Fanfan, for all you do and for being here tonight. Please tune in every Thursday. Tell us where they can find you, Schellie.
So I come before you live every Thursday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, highlighting a question that has been asked of me. You can also find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Ask Schellie. And so I would love for you to come follow me. I have another show that I do on every Tuesday at 12 o'clock right on my Facebook page and Instagram page called The Ask Schellie Show. And so feel free to join in and just maximize your emotional intelligence. It'll set you free. Our breakthrough is always on the other side of something we do not know. So come get the information that you need to break through.
You gonna get it started again, Schellie. Well, to everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is the I Am Beautiful 365 platform. We have amazing influencers and programs Monday through Thursday and Sunday with yours truly for Soul Food Sunday. But check us out. Take a look at our page. You can see some of the past shows and influencers. Support these influencers. The content is amazing. Thank you again to Warren and Candace for creating this platform. And we are out, everyone. Have a great night.